Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW.
We begin tonight with breaking news. The National Lawyers Guild filed the class action lawsuit today against Morton County Sheriff Kyle Kirschmeyer, and other law enforcement agencies for using excessive force against Dakota Access Pipeline protesters earlier this month. The suit was filed through the U.S. District Court in Bismarck by those who were hurt on November 20th and November 21st. They want an immediate injunction preventing the Morton County Sheriff's Department and other law enforcement agencies from using rubber bullets, lead-filled beanbags, water cannons, and hoses, explosive tear gas grenades, and other chemical agents used against protesters. Now, meanwhile, the Morton County Sheriff's Department released 2 videos today. It's a YouTube series called Know the Truth. Their goal is to allow the public to see through the eyes of law enforcement covering the protests. The first video is introduced by Sheriff Kirschmeyer and follows Cass County Sheriff Paul Laney. Laney explains how some protesters are instigating officers through violence to gain attention. Laney says law enforcement is more than willing to protect legal, permitted protests. Now, in the second video, Kirschmeyer warns that the upcoming winter conditions are life-threatening.
But in these conditions, especially down in where the camp is on the Corps land, puts us into a bigger perspective just because of the seriousness that the winter conditions bring to those people that are camping out on the prairie.
This all comes today after North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple signed an emergency evacuation order out of concern for the safety of those who are camping on U.S. Army Corps of Engineers land.
I chose to wait for Cyber Monday to shop online instead of going to the store because it's so much crowded.
If you've been taking advantage of Cyber Monday deals, experts say you should be checking your bank account. 1 in 4 shoppers will get hacked this holiday season. The reason? Well, according to a new study, people still aren't motivated to protect their personal information. The Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson explains.
Cyber Monday, over 100 million people are entering their credit card information online.
What are you buying today?
I'm going to be buying a snowboard.
Online?
Yes.
It's a day of delight for hackers. A new security study says most people know they should protect themselves, but do risky things online anyway, leaving them more vulnerable to various attacks.
I'm not concerned because there's the chip now is the new thing to have on the cards to help keep your cards safer and your bank account safer.
I guess I never really thought about it. I buy from pretty safe websites. I've bought from the same website before, so I guess if I find a really good deal, I'm always skeptical about it on certain websites that I haven't been to before.
I know it's out there. I know it's a big thing. But since it's never happened to me, I mean, I guess I don't really, not so concerned.
Lindsay Codner says she can see why people get overwhelmed trying to protect themselves online. Experts say more people are just accepting that they might get hacked and they'll deal with it when it happens.
If you have a good bank or whatever, they'll reimburse you your money or put a stop to it right away. So I know there's those things that are protecting you and your money.
This college student says she goes through her bank accounts often.
I don't think that it will happen to me because my bank is pretty strong on sending monthly statements to make sure that everything that has gone through our account makes sense.
If you still have online shopping to do, experts advise using your credit card rather than your debit. Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
On Black Friday, a tracking company estimates consumers spent around $3 billion online. And today, experts are expecting over 200 million Cyber Monday shoppers. Well, if you've stepped outside recently, it's both wet and cold. Justin, are our temps going to drop anytime soon? Will we see snow at all?
You know, we will see a little snow. The temperatures are going to drop a little, and then they're going to drop even further to near the freezing point as we go through the weekend after we finally get this system out of here. But we've got quite a ways to go. Let's take a look at that tower cam time lapse from today. There's your rain showers moving through periodically. We kept that wind from more of a south or southeasterly direction, which was a nice warm flow, which kept temperatures above freezing, with the highest temperatures near 40 degrees in the Fargo area. We have now gone down to 36 degrees in Fargo. Temperatures still near 40 out toward Grand Forks, into the lower 30s, Jamestown, Valley City, and temperatures into the mid-30s. You make your way into Lakes Country. Now, we still have that winter weather advisory in effect for Foster, Stutzman, Lemoore, and Dickey County. That's until Wednesday at 6 p.m. And along with that, we have that winter storm warning in effect for central and western North Dakota. That again is until Wednesday at 6 p.m. And if you're in a winter storm warning, that means over 6 inches of snow will fall in your area. Now, we are still tracking bands of rain moving through. Portions of the area are dry as of now, especially just south of Valley City. And as you make your way just to the east of Fergus Falls and Detroit Lakes, we're seeing the heaviest bands now just off to the west and to the north of the Fargo area. As you get to Jamestown, Devil's Lake, it does turn to snow, and then we really get into the snow as you make your way out toward Bismarck and points off to the west in North Dakota. Low pressure system continuing to make its way through. Moving to the northeast, we are still in the warm sector. We got that nice southerly or southeasterly wind still pumping in the relatively warm air that's keeping us rain in most places. On the backside, that's where they're seeing the snow. On the cool side of the system, this low will continue to make its way through. We're going to see some snow shower activity as we go through Wednesday into Thursday, but most of the moisture will be over by then. Here is the model as we go through the overnight period. Still a nice south or southeasterly flow, keeping temperatures up. We're going to be into the mid-30s in most places with rain in the valley and a rain-snow mix most everywhere else you look. And most of us turning to some snow as we go through your Tuesday. How much snow? Well, we're not going to see a lot here in the valley. Less than 1 inch of snow, and then 1 to 3 inches as you make your way from Jamestown, Valley City, north to the Canadian border, with a lot more snow out toward western North Dakota. Here's the photo of the day. It's called Colorful Sunset in Comstock, Minnesota. Thank you, Tiffany Qualley, for this one. We're going to use in the background of the 7-day forecast. There's your rain snow mix on Tuesday. Some snow showers still around on Wednesday. Temperatures staying into the upper 30s through until Thursday, when we're into the mid-30s, with some snow showers still possible. Into the weekend, we stay dry, partly cloudy skies, and temperatures stay into the low to mid-30s as we go through the weekend and start next week.
All right, thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the snow continued to fall in Bismarck. The major snowstorm moved in over Bismarck, bringing flurries, freezing rain, and wind. Now, it's not moving out of sight anytime soon. Many were out cleaning sidewalks and plowing walkways, while emergency crews cleared the roads for drivers to get around. And a former NDSU student has been sentenced to probation and some fines after pleading guilty to creating and disseminating child pornography. Talon Gregory Bitts was originally facing 3 counts: creation, possession of dissemination of sexual images, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and possession of prohibited materials. He pleaded guilty to the first 2 charges today, and that was dismissed. While the charges he faced had a maximum sentence of 35 years in jail and or $50,000 in fines. He was sentenced to 18 months of supervised probation and $500 in fines. The BCI found on Bitts' computer at least 3 videos of various lengths, all featuring young boys engaging in sexual activity. The university says Bitts is no longer enrolled, and situations involving child pornography are a violation of the Student Code of Conduct. Moorhead police have identified the man who was found dead inside his apartment after an overnight standoff. 28-year-old Thomas Scheibel died from what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We did some investigating and found out that Scheibel has a history of domestic abuse. Valley News Team's Giovanna Seamage tells us why domestic violence calls are very dangerous for police officers.
Police officers risk their lives every day on the job, but there's one call they respond to that has a lot of unknowns.
We recognize domestic violence as the types of calls that can oftentimes be the most dangerous.
Fargo police officer Jason Mosier was killed in the line of duty while responding to a domestic disturbance call. According to a National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund study, domestic disturbance calls have the most fatalities for officers.
Whatever is occurring, there's a lot more that you don't know than what you do. And if they're emotionally charged, they can turn on law enforcement, or things can become dangerous very quickly.
Jacobson says when it comes to domestic calls, police has more than one officer respond. He says officers get a lot of help from dispatchers who keep them updated with any new information.
It's not unlike any other police call that you go to where You have to recognize there's general things that you can do for your safety, and you're trying to help out the situation and ensure that everyone is able to have a peaceful resolution.
In Moorhead, Giovanna Simic, Valley News Live.
Police say the woman who was inside the apartment with Scheibel was able to make it out safely. Scheibel's body was taken to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office for an official autopsy. The search continues for 17-year-old Jermey Jourdain from northern Minnesota after searches of 2 lakes turned up with no clues. Jourdain was last seen in Bemidji around midnight on October 31st, Halloween night. On November 25th, Bemidji police worked with Valley Water Rescue to search the south shoreline of Lake Bemidji and the east side of Lake Irvine with a canine. Now, on November 27th, the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office used a side-scan sonar unit, which examined the bottom of both lakes. No signs of Jourdain were found during that search either. So if you have any sort of contact with Jourdain since November 1st, you are asked to contact the police. We're learning a lot more tonight about an attack at Ohio State University that left 1 man dead and at least 10 others injured. Police say an 18-year-old student plowed his car into pedestrians on campus, then got out and began stabbing them. And right now, police are looking into whether it was a terrorist attack. NBC News reports the attacker, Abdul Razak Ali Artan, was a Somali refugee who was a legal permanent resident of the United States. Now, while it's still unclear of his motives, a Minnesotan who goes to school at OSU says the whole incident was terrifying. Carol Evans' Jay Olstad has much more.
Parts of Ohio State University shut down today after police say a man attacked people on campus with his car and a butcher knife.
About 9:52 a.m., a male suspect drove a vehicle over the curb, West 19th, west of College Avenue, struck pedestrians. He exited the vehicle and used a butcher knife to start cutting pedestrians.
Police say an officer nearby then shot and killed the suspect. Investigators say 9 people were hurt, 1 critically.
I was going to class and just saw people running.
Witnesses describe a chaotic scene.
It's not supposed to happen. Sorry.
University officials first texted students and staff there was an active shooter, but they later determined the man did not shoot anyone.
It was just kind of petrifying. You just felt like there wasn't anything you could do.
Leslie Schneider is from Duluth, but is a grad student at OSU and was on campus when she got text from the university telling her to take cover.
It was kind of terrifying, just the amount of armored vehicles that you saw coming in and like the helicopters starting to come in.
Even though it's over, she says she and other students are still on edge.
People are very nervous and very scared, and even with all the law enforcement, you just never know.
Although a motive is unknown, investigators say the attack was clearly deliberate and may have been planned in advance.
This was done on purpose, to go over the curb and strike pedestrians and then get out and start striking them with a knife. That was on purpose.
Everyone injured is expected to be okay, which university officials attribute to law enforcement acting so quickly. It will be 3 years ago next month that a crude oil train accident and explosion rocked and shocked residents of Castleton, North Dakota. Now, a UND engineering professor has been consulting Congress about the safety of crude oil trains. George Bible says several safety regulations have been put in place, including more track inspections that should make crude oil trains relatively safe.
They've made adjustments to make them safer. There's a lot of little things they can do on the edges to make them significantly safer. In fact, in my book, I kind of track the history of hazmat shipments and the improvements they make. They do more inspections of the track, of the train. They can reroute things.
Now, Bible says the bottom line on all of this is you can never guarantee accident-free crude oil trains. Bible says pipelines are the safest way to transport oil. Still ahead tonight, apparently the fight isn't over. So who's asking for recounts after the election? It's coming up right after this break.